Welcome to our Spain, Poco a Poco. Hola.
Hola, Tanya. Today we're talking about something very exciting.
Oh, yes, we love
La,
this.
Las Rebajas, which means,
Which
you
means,
know,
everybody, sales and discounts. It means sales. It's all the wonderful discounted products,
it is.
and we
It,
love
it
it.
is it's a consumer's dream right now in
Yes.
Spain.
I do love
It
a good
is.
deal.
I do too. And what is very interesting, which I did not realize until we moved here, and we moved here in July
Hmm.
and a couple years ago, and it was these red Rebejas signs everywhere, and I'm like, oh, it's a sale, and then a friend of mine who was from Spain had told me, he's like, oh, you're there during Rebejas, it's a big thing, and I didn't really know that it was such a big thing, but it is, and twice a year they have these big sales right after Christmas, after Three Kings Day, and then in July. So it's like
Right.
January into February, July into August, but these are government sanctioned sale periods.
Yes, and it
And it's
is,
everything.
and it can be everything. And I think these are particularly exciting for places like El Corte Inglés and stuff, where they really, I mean, a lot of the shops, I mean, that's somewhere where stuff can be more expensive, and sometimes you can just get amazing things in some of the more expensive shops, and we love
Mm-hmm.
that. So
We do.
why
And
not?
and I mean, I think people save up for the year thinking, well, this TV is going to go out. Well, they're not going to
Hmm.
go out and if they can hold out, they'll wait till July to get the TV versus March, right? You know these things are coming. So I think
Absolutely.
people plan out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying people should plan on when they move based around the Rebajas, but maybe you should plan on moving based around the Rebajas, because if you're going to have to buy a lot of stuff, hey, why not, right?
Why not?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So a brief history of how it started. It originated in the 1930s by Pepin Fernandez, and it
And
was
he owned
he.
a department store, which
Mhm.
doesn't exist anymore, but it was called Galerias Preciados. Did I say that? Preciados.
Preciados, preciados.
Which he had some financial. Well, I think he was long gone, but in by 1995, it was absorbed into El Corte. So now El
Yeah.
Corte's the only department store we have.
Which makes sense because it,
Right.
these kinds of rebajas, these kind of sales and discounts are often started in big department stores, because those are the
Hmm.
ones that are doing it. But it obviously has become just a big thing for everybody. And by the 1940s, they actually formalized a law for these two national sales seasons in January and July. So now it is literally what everybody does, and it is recognized for the economic benefits. And now that you have it, like you said, everybody knows that these are the two times it's happening. So get on
Hmm.
board.
Get on board,
Yeah.
save up, get
Yeah.
your deals then. And just so you know, like in 2012, they kind of laxed the law, allowing people to have sales at other times as well.
Yeah.
So they don't just have sales at these times, but these are the traditional cultural sales that everyone's kind of looking out for and waiting for.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and you see the red Rebejas signs everywhere.
we
It's
love
it's
it.
it's a,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. I mean, it's definitely something that they'll take all, I mean, especially in some of the department stores, they'll take all the clothes out of the mannequins and just dress them in red rebajas. I mean, it's just, that's what's going on.
Right.
We don't need to advertise anything at this point other than the fact that we're having a sale.
Right.
So we have, there's like, you might find like 30% off, then they might be deeper discounts with still a good collection of things, and then you might have ultimas rebajas, which is like 70% off. And I have
And that
found some really good deals. I will say, by accident, I went shopping one time, I think in January, in El Corte Inglés, and found like some really good shoes for Zena at a ridiculously low price, and I was like, oh,
mhm.
this is fantastic.
And like you were saying, those sales prices, they go on as the sales going on. So at the beginning, you're not finding the deals, but if you could wait out till the end, that's when you're getting like the 70,
Hmm.
80% off. But also, if you're one of those perfect sizes, your size is probably sold out. But if you're of an original figure like me, then you can hold out
An
maybe for
original
the end of
figure.
the sale.
Yeah, so that you probably, if you're a regular size, your stuff might not even be in the sales in the first place. So there you go. Who
Right.
knows? Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people know how to do the sales, so it's not that different from other countries, I don't think, as far as how it works. But it is, those
And
times
what
of
I
year.
also think is cool is because of this government regulation, they have to be truthful. Like they can't just say, "Oh, this is 50% off." They have to prove like that the government comes and inspects. They want to see the sheet of when was this priced? What was the
Hmm.
100% price? You can't just say this is a deal. Like it really has to be um, um a researchable deal, I guess is what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
absolutely. And I do think, and it's going to be like anywhere else where some of the big department stores will have more going on. But I mean, the smaller shops will also have rebajas going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's harder for them. They're still trying to participate because you kind of have to, because otherwise no one's going to be buying anything from you at that time. But so
Right.
it is really, everybody will do something at that time. I think like all the shops will have
Mm-hmm.
something going on, even if they can't compete with like the whole shop. Even the department stores, it's not everything that's in there. It's You have to go to the
Right.
section that has the rebaja, so it's not everything. And obviously the more floors you have, the more you have to put
The
in
more you can
that,
offer.
right?
Yeah.
But it's still a really good time to just be aware that it's coming up. So like you were saying, a TV or things that might stay on sale, wait until the Ultimas rebajas, because that'll be then 70% off if you're not too
Right.
fussy on maybe the size of the TV or how smart it is or whatever, you know.
How smart it is.
Who knows what they put
And
on sale.
another thing that was surprising to me, which we don't have in the States, is that cosmetics go on sale and during this time and Christmas
Hmm.
time, but like perfumes, they'll have perfumes 40-50% off. And in America, fragrance does not go on sale. It just does not happen. So it's very interesting to come here and you're like, oh, I can get 150 euro bottle of cologne for $70 this time, which is like crazy to me. So
That's
we may
crazy.
have loaded up on some colognes and perfumes for me and the kids during one of these
I will say that
sales.
you know way more about this than I do. And I would gander a guess that the sales are not sort of, I mean, we don't live in Madrid, and I'm not a big sales shopper. I think it's a very exciting time and everybody shops and it's a bit crazy, but it's not like Black
Hmm.
Friday crazy, I don't think, and I haven't seen it, but we might get people telling us that it is in Madrid or it is somewhere else, maybe, but
Right.
we haven't seen that kind of madness going along with this. You know, it's happening and people are just shopping. It's not like
Right.
it's
Right.
not line up outside the shop and for hours and the whole night, but it could be happening somewhere.
Could be.
Yeah, it could
I
be.
haven't seen it either, but you never know.
You never know. You never know. And I would definitely go for some of the shops that I love to shop in already. And
Right.
then for me, the treat is places like El Corte Inglés, where I generally don't shop there because it's in the city and it's also generally more expensive than I want to spend on
Right.
regular things. So you can get some good deals on things that you wouldn't normally buy, which is what I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the clothes I would not normally buy. You're like, oh, I can get something from this store at the H&M price. That's kind of nice.
Right, and especially when you have kids, I think this is also an
Right.
exceptional thing, because just if you can coordinate your clothes shopping and shoe shopping to these times of year, then you're going to be better off as well. And that's kind of a sort of back to school stuff that happens for the July one. You're kind of in the back to school almost section. So what's going to happen in some of these stores is, especially the ones that do back to school stuff, they're getting rid of stuff, and then after that they'll bring in the whole back to school stuff at regular
Right.
price. So if you can get, you're not going to get your pens and pencils and paper and stuff, but if you can get
And
your
the
back to
uniforms.
your, yeah, not the uniforms either, but not all schools have uniforms. If you can get clothes and shoes in the sales, I mean, in July, you're almost already back
Do
to
it.
school. Yeah, for sure. Good timing. Well,
Well,
I think that's
shall we
it.
make a date for next week to go shopping?
I think we should. Well, no, we have to wait until the Ultimas Rebajas. So
Oh, okay. So beginning of August, we will last week of July, we have
gonna land.
August. Okay.
That's a date. All
Sounds good.
right.
I'll see you at El Court in a month
See you in El
and a
Corte in a
half.
month. That's the end of Rebajas. Poco a poco.
Ciao.
Ciao. Thank you for listening to Our Spain Poco a Poco. Since you love us so much, please do go on to our social media and follow us and like us and subscribe where you're listening, because it really does help us to grow and stick around and do what we are very much enjoying doing.
And, give us a shout out on the social medias. Give us a comment on what you would like to hear us talk about? I mean, we like to hear ourselves speak, but we do want to make this, informative for our listeners.
Absolutely, yeah. You can comment on one of our posts, or you can send us a message through our Spain Facebook page or Instagram. So we would love to hear from you.
Yes, we would. Till the next episode.
Bye.